Hey everybody, welcome back to Brick System Brothers. It is the end of June and it's time for Footnotes. So, hopefully you had a good month of June. I did. I had my 24th birthday this month and it was a good day. So, that was kind of towards the second half, and I'd say we were a little lower video production wise than average. But over the past 3 or 4 months, I think we have kind of steadied out. So about 16 videos were released here in June. Counting this one, we started looking at what we're doing with the Emporium Lego store, or not store, but the Lego Club, that we've actually been meeting longer than we've had our YouTube channel, but we haven't really featured it before. So I felt like it was a good time to make a couple videos about that, and we've gotten a good response. So I'm glad you guys have enjoyed those. That's mostly younger kids from our local community that come in, and I provide the Lego, they provide the imagination and fun, and it's a good time. There's kind of 4 main segments we're doing on our Footnotes now. This first one here is a little bit of a recap for the month of June, and then we'll move into just a short look back at a year ago on the channel, so June 2020. The third segment is our answering machine, just a short acknowledgement of some of the comments and questions we've got on the channel over the course of the month, and kind of bringing those to this point and closing those out a little bit, monthly basis again. And finally, the fourth part is the channel analytics. We'll look at the month of June, views, subscribers, watch hours, and now that we are monetized, the ad revenue portion will all come into play, and we'll just take a quick look at that at the end of this video here. Over the first half of this year, I have talked more about my sorting and my studio, with that studio tour as well. And then this month I added in the slope spin. So it was pretty interesting to see the response to this video, a lot higher than I thought it'd be, kind of rising up to one of the most popular for this month. So apparently you guys enjoy watching sorting and that kind of thing. I might have to do some more of that. And I probably will talk about the other bin that I put up here. So this is the smaller drawer unit. It's the first one of this size drawer that I've got, and that is now located above the slopes drawer. I had a lot of fun with my Market Street rebuild. Part 1 of this project was published this month, and now part 2 is ready to go. It will be released in July. And I have completed both the original Market Street set and my color copy, but I'm not going to show you the color copy yet. I want that to be a little bit of a surprise. So they're both done. Stay tuned. That video is scheduled to be posted. I'll probably try to get that out in the first half of the month. Last year on the channel is probably one of my favorite months in terms of production content that we were putting out on Brick System Brothers. So I did want to share about 3 videos rather than just one, or have an example from last year. And those 3 are the Rare Lego in-depth guide, the gaps in the Lego system kind of topic video, and then the Alco Interceptor mock that got me started using Rebrickable a little bit more. So the Rare Lego guide is actually still the record holder for video length on the channel. It's about 51 minutes long, and I did a lot more of preparation and research than I usually do for content. I just wanted to address, what makes Lego rare, kind of add in my 2 cents to the discussion of rare Lego. And people use the term a lot of times, I think, a little too easily, because when it comes to rare Lego, there's a vast iceberg of different factors to consider. So it's more complicated than just saying this set is rare or this piece is rare. You have to kind of dig in a little bit to see what that's talking all about. So the longest video so far, not quite to an hour, and looking at behind the scenes what that took to get that put out was a lot more of just preparation and doing a little bit of work to have that flow nicely. I had a whole presentation thing that I kind of screen recorded and then overlaid my camera video. So a little bit of a different video, and still the longest one. The second one was the gaps in the LEGO system, and this one was just kind of a different topic to address than what we usually talk about, or what LEGO channels in general usually talk about. But at the same time, it's kind of a familiar theme, because a lot of people do talk about maybe a set that they want LEGO to make, or a minifigure that they want LEGO to make. And this is just kind of another step in that theme, looking at parts. Not necessarily that I think LEGO should be making these parts, just acknowledging that, hey, this is a natural kind of progression of pieces. Like, we can look at a family of pieces and say, something is missing here. So one of those examples was the bowed brick family. We have the 2x2 and the 4x4, but we don't have the 3x3 yet. I had a couple different families laid out to look through, and just pulled up examples. I actually found a Flickr page that does LDRAW files of what that missing part might look like. And I thought that was something that did bring a lot to the discussion. I was happy to find that and put it in the video. And the third one that I mentioned is this mock. It's actually a rebuild of a Hidden Side set. And it was really the first serious rebuild I had attempted, because up to that point, everything I talked about on the channel was either a set or a mock or something different. And this is a mock, but it's based on a set. So kind of narrowing the scope of what you actually do when you're building. A rebuild takes a LEGO set and says, using only this group of pieces, what else could you build and put together? I was familiar with it for a while before I actually tried it. This video was the time I gave it kind of a serious go, and the result I ended up liking enough to come back to Rebrickable and go ahead and learn the ins and outs of that website. So I'd actually started an account with Rebrickable in 2018 when I was really growing into what LEGO is out there on the web, like what are AFOLs talking about and what websites are active. So like Brickset, New Elementary, Rebrickable, Bricklink, all that stuff I was getting into about a year before we started the channel. But Rebrickable actually just kind of poked around and then backed off for a while. So this kind of bringing me back into the Rebrickable realm. It opened the door to do a couple more rebuilds, and those are now posted there. I started posting my entirely custom mocks on Rebrickable, so not based on a LEGO set. And I'm up to 16 published mocks right now. Alright, so we're moving on to the answering machine segment. We've got my little decorated brick to represent our answering machine here at Brick System Brothers. There's just two this time. There were more questions that came in, but I wanted to just talk about these two. The first one was actually, I think it was a comment left at the end of May, but it was after I had recorded and edited the May footnotes. So I'm going to include it here, even though it's technically not a June answering machine. Jay-Z says, thanks for the tutorial. Can it generate parts list as we usually see in the LEGO official instructions? This was a comment left on my studio tutorial, kind of asking about the capabilities of the program to customize the instructions a little bit. And that was not something I had really looked at. I usually tweak the view, the page view, quite a bit when I'm going through and doing studio instructions, but I hadn't done a whole lot with the actual capabilities of what else can you add in besides just the steps. So I poked around in there for a little bit and found a way to add in the parts list as the question asked for. And I went ahead and made that into a standalone tutorial as well. It was actually pretty quick to add, and one of the shorter videos out this month. So that was the first question that got answered with a video. The other one was Bully McGuire, is there a Batman torso? A comment left on my LDD torso tutorial. And in that video, it's just looking at using the extended mode for Digital Designer. You're actually able to add kind of a condensed variety of the printed torsos that were available before LEGO stopped supporting the program. So I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 4,000 some combinations of color and print can be done with this extended mode in Digital Designer. And I made a video about those combinations, looking at a few examples and how to actually do that. So this comment on the video asking about a Batman torso. So I didn't really explore this, I just made a guess based on, I had seen Star Wars and Ninjago prints in there. So Star Wars is a licensed theme. That means that at least in some cases licensed themes are okay to be used here in this process. So I made a guess that, yeah, sure, there's probably a Batman print in here. But it turns out, as far as I can tell, there is not. So just getting back to this quickly, there are quite a few options. Most of them revolve around city prints. There are several for Ninjago and a scarce few for Star Wars, but most of it is city and some of the in-house prints that LEGO does, independent from other licenses, and that includes Batman. So sorry, McGuire, there's not a Batman print for the torso, although Studio is the LEGO-owned Bricklink software that covers many prints on more than just torsos, so they probably have some Batman prints. And finally, the last segment here in our footnotes is the analytics from June. Everything is pretty much on par from what we've seen the last 3 or 4 months, which are good numbers, and we are growing slowly but steadily. So up to almost 1,320 subscribers, and we've kind of been floating around that number for the last couple days. It's been up and down a little bit. And the studio view here shows June 1st through June 28th, the 28-day view. So this isn't the entire month of June, but this is a pretty good portion of it. Views was about 13,000. We did have a peak on the 7th, and here at the end of the month, June 27th, kind of a lower point there right in the middle of the month. And steady uploads throughout is one of the things that helps maintain pretty regular viewership. The other thing is over 400 videos already published that do get regular views. Watch time in the form of hours was 543-ish, and that was kind of steady, and then it dropped a bit, and then started going back up again to a peak of 28.3 watch hours on the 27th, and then it kind of steeply fell off again just the other day, down to 18.5. So this one we see does fluctuate a little bit more than views in general, but when you look at the overlay, there's kind of general trends that get followed as well. So, lower in the middle, growing towards the end, both of them do that as well. Subscribers, we have added 58 subscribers, and I'll put a little scrolling list of the public subscriptions right at the end of the video, like I have been for the last couple months. And those are somewhat steady as well. We can usually count on at least one a day. So that was this valley down here, one a day. Sometimes none, and sometimes we lose one or two, but for the most part trending up, so thank you guys. And revenue, we are running ads now. This has been, not really any surprises so far. The process is pretty straightforward. Interestingly enough, we saw a pretty large spike right in the middle of the month. Our highest day so far for ad revenue was $2.54 on the 15th, and then abruptly drops back down to our kind of 50 or 60 cents a day average, and that's been holding pretty steady. And total revenue up to this point is now past, we'll look at the last year. We started monetizing early February, and we're up to just over $80. So you can cash in and get a check from YouTube at 100. So we actually we haven't actually seen any of this money yet, but they say it's coming in. And it's not bad for a little 1,300 subscriber YouTube channel. So running those ads is doing well, going well, doing good. Alright, so fun stuff for June 2021. Got a couple videos lined up for July, but I'm not sure if it's going to be 2 a week, 3 a week. We might actually drop it down a little bit more as well. I guess we'll see what happens. Just keep an eye out on the channel. The Market Street Part 2 is coming up. So that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. And I want you to know it's done. Just wait a little bit longer to see it. So that's about it. Oh, one more thing. I bought myself a camera, and I have started using it for our channel footage. That's not the main reason I bought it, but I figure since it's here, I am going to learn how to use it and start putting that into practice for Brick System Brothers. I think the first time you guys would have seen footage from this camera was the blacksmith review video. Most of that was recorded with my phone, but there were a couple of clips that helped separate the segments of my review that were recorded with this in 60 frames a second and then slowed down by half to 30 frames a second, and just a little something to add in between the droning of my review voice. So since then I've used it multiple times. Most of the content I've got lined up for July right now was recorded with this. Still figuring out like the different modes, the focus modes, and getting used to running with this camera instead of the phone. But I did want to mention this. If you've noticed slightly different picture quality on some videos or something like that, then that is why. And hopefully we'll be using this more often in upcoming videos. Alright, well that's all for June 2021. Pretty good stuff happening here in the Brick System Brothers studio. We'll shout out to Josh and see if he's got anything to add in next month. Other than that, we'll have more from me and more Lego videos. Well, that's a given. We'll see you guys.